In early November 2025 at Clarence House, a room reserved for critical decisions was lit late into the night. Here, King Charles signed a document stored at the highest security level within the royal family's internal system. There was no press release, no notes sent to advisors, and no family members were notified in advance about the contents of this document. Everything took place within four walls with only one witness present. The document recorded Catherine Middleton as the sole person holding the role of inheriting the authority to shape the royal family's public image and influence in the next phase. This position had traditionally been allocated to multiple figures according to long-standing custom. At the same time, Camilla no longer appeared on the personnel list with access to strategic decisions. The document included no explanations or appendices. Everything was presented only through clear administrative-style listings. From the perspective of power structure, the question arises whether Charles was making a long-term preparation for the monarchy or merely correcting distortions that had existed for decades. And if the head of a dynasty, at 76, decides to change the entire operational method with a single signature, would you believe this is the right course for the future? To understand the context behind this document, one must look back to early November, when schedules, meetings, and audiences were all held discreetly within the palace. From the beginning of November, Charles's schedule changed constantly. Trips were announced and then withdrawn. Events originally planned with the king were reassigned to other members. Media access to the palace became more restricted than usual. Charles's public appearances and statements decreased sharply, with no explanation from any responsible authority. These details formed a series of signals indicating that significant discussions and adjustments were taking place internally within the royal family. At the same time, Sandringham became the venue for an undisclosed meeting between Charles, William, and Catherine. The meeting lasted several hours. There were no photos, no press announcements, and no royal figures provided commentary. Observers in politics and media believed this was one of the most influential meetings affecting the royal family's power structure in recent years. Indirect sources indicated the discussion concerned the position of image heir, strategic direction, and the roles of key figures in stabilizing the monarchy. Catherine reappeared publicly after her health treatment and quickly became the center of attention. Every appearance was analyzed for posture, schedule, and participation in royal activities. Many experts noted her standing in the eyes of the British and international public had risen significantly. This signal suggested Catherine was seen as someone capable of ensuring the monarchy's long-term stability during the year-end events. Her presence at the Sandringham meeting was interpreted by observers as evidence that her role had extended beyond ordinary royal duties. Meanwhile, Camilla's position in the royal power system showed signs of change. Some of her activities were reduced or replaced by other personnel. Her close advisors spoke less publicly. These movements occurred quietly, but were noticeable when seen in the context of year-end events. The change was not officially announced, nor were explanations given. Yet the adjustment in Camilla's schedule and scope of activities indicated a redistribution of power was underway. Sandringham, Clarence House, and Buckingham became key nodes in the unfolding events. Every schedule change drew attention because it coincided with the silence of the royal media apparatus. Observers offered various hypotheses, particularly after noticing William appearing more frequently in official activities and Catherine being present in private meetings with senior advisors. These signs painted a comprehensive picture of systemic shifts, where each individual's role was reassessed strategically. When these pieces of information were put together, the overall image of the royal family at the end of 2025 emerged as a period where every movement carried structural significance. This context helps explain why the Sandringham meeting was so weighty. It took place as the monarchy needed to reinforce key positions, clearly identify who held influence over public image, and establish a stable operational mechanism for the next phase. Catherine's presence in these crucial discussions, while Camilla's visibility and core activities diminished, led observers to question the emerging axis of power, and the undercurrent truly erupted when the top-secret document appeared, revealing that Charles had chosen a path with no turning back. The origin of the document began with a small group including the king's private secretary, several lawyers responsible for constitutional matters, and advisors specializing in communication strategy. The drafting process took place over several months, running parallel to internal reviews aimed at establishing a new operational model for the royal family's public representation. Most of the content was developed at Clarence House, where Charles has maintained his main office in recent years. Those involved in drafting drew on legal documents, traditional regulations, and historical precedents to ensure the text did not violate any provisions concerning the supreme power structure. The core content of the document focused on appointing Catherine to the role of the person authorized to define the royal family's public image. Her powers include approving media messages, organizing public appearances of key members, setting long-term strategic direction, and overseeing the entire press relations system. This is a systemic allocation of authority, directly impacting the operations of departments at Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, and Clarence House. Within the document, Catherine is identified as the sole individual holding this role, with no sharing of authority or division of responsibilities. Notably, the document explicitly states that its application would take effect during the period when Charles reduces his official activities. This means that all royal image activities, from strategic planning to specific appearance choices, fall under Catherine's approval. For this reason, the document, though unrelated to the crown itself, is considered by analysts to be a decisive measure for the order of influence. The advisory team's response, upon the document's limited introduction, quickly split into two clear viewpoints. One group argued that the decision reflected an operational structure that had been developing for years, particularly after Catherine had assumed representative duties during periods when Charles reduced public appearances. They assessed this allocation as consistent with preparations for a long-term phase in which the royal family needs a stable and coherent image coordination center. The other group took a more cautious view. They suggested that concentrating authority in one individual could trigger a shift in power among factions quietly existing within the royal family. They noted that the timing of Charles signing the document, without any broad announcement or traditional consultation process, could create complex consequences. Some advisors recommended reviewing the implementation method to avoid the text becoming a source of new hierarchical tensions. Legally, the document does not alter succession terms or the king's supreme powers. However, it raises questions about the role of the queen consort under royal tradition. For decades, the holder of this position has been considered the natural representative of the monarchy, appearing alongside the king and playing a vital role in the family's public image system. The fact that this document removes Camilla from any coordination authority represents an unprecedented shift in the operational model of the modern British monarchy. Many royal scholars note that this is the first time in decades that a reigning consort has been excluded from image-shaping authority. Previous precedents, despite contextual differences, all recognize the Queen's role in representative activities. This makes the document a notable subject of academic study, raising questions about whether the monarchy is moving toward a new decentralized model or establishing a temporary structure to facilitate future transitions. Beyond tradition, the document's practical effects on internal operations are substantial. Media departments at Buckingham Palace must now report directly to Catherine. Teams formerly responsible for Camilla's or other senior members' images must transfer duties or merge with existing teams. Approval processes for public messaging must be fully updated, including planning appearances, managing media interactions, and coordinating high-level events. These changes are seen as far-reaching, affecting how the royal family interacts with the public. For years, the system operated in a decentralized model with multiple independent centers, each key figure supported by their own team. The new document shifts this to a centralized model, creating a unified structure while raising questions about the autonomy of other individuals. In private meetings, some advisors questioned whether this is a corrective measure addressing past legacies or an attempt to restructure the system in preparation for larger future changes. These meetings revealed a clear split in perspectives. One side views it as a technical and strategic step. The other sees potential for generating power clashes. Analysts raise the central question: If this is Charles's way of repairing historical wounds, is he inadvertently opening the door to another crisis? The concern arises because the document not only affects the present, but also establishes a foundation for the royal family's future. The redistribution of authority is expected to trigger a chain of changes, affecting positions that have held influence for many years. Some internal reports indicate that a personnel unit within the royal family began preparing scenarios to respond to potential changes. They reviewed legal procedures, traditional provisions, and historical precedents to assess the extent to which the document would intervene in the long-standing system. All these reviews indicated that the document's impact extended beyond the usual scope of internal directives. From these analyses, observers concluded that the emergence of the document marked a rare turning point in the royal family's power structure. And here, the name Camilla became the focal point of all controversy. From the moment the top-secret document was mentioned in internal meetings, developments concerning Camilla were placed within the context of successive changes to the royal family's operational structure. Her shifting position became a topic of discussion among advisory groups and ceremonial departments. This was also a natural continuation of debates surrounding the document signed by Charles, leading directly to its impact on Camilla, who had traditionally held a frequent, invisible role as a reigning queen consort. Immediately after the document was communicated to scheduling teams, changes in Camilla's activities appeared first in the sequence of annual events. Some ceremonies she traditionally attended were officially adjusted. Certain trips that she would normally oversee were reassigned to Catherine. Camilla's meetings with patronage organizations were temporarily suspended or reduced. These changes occurred in a short time frame, making it clear to observers that this was not a spontaneous arrangement but part of a premeditated plan. Camilla's reduced public presence occurred simultaneously with Catherine's increased visibility in a representative role. The formal duties Catherine undertook in place of Camilla were announced without explanations for the transfer. In some high-profile ceremonies, Catherine's name was included in the list of presiding members. Press offices were notified in advance that Camilla would be absent, and Catherine would attend instead. This series of adjustments created a visible shift in the royal family's representation structure, positioning Catherine at the center during a period when Charles was limiting public duties. Alongside schedule changes, Camilla's relationship with certain royal family members also became a noted factor. For years, her relationship with William was often described as reflecting differences in perspectives on the royal family's role in the modern era. William was trained toward a lean representative model, focused on a few key figures, while Camilla remained associated with the traditional model maintained over decades. These differences often required coordination by advisors. When the top-secret document appeared and Catherine was placed in the position with authority to shape the royal image, the overlap between the old and new models became more apparent. Regarding Princess Anne, her relationship with Camilla was built over many years, with notable differences in ceremonial responsibilities. Anne is known for maintaining a high-intensity work schedule and has publicly supported deeper involvement of royal members in patronages. Camilla's duties, however, were allocated differently to suit her role as queen consort, creating a certain distance between the two when strategic meetings on post-Elizabeth royal operations were held. Changes within Buckingham following the issuance of the top-secret document were clearly observed. Camilla's communications team had to adjust media plans. Her secretariat had to reorganize pre-scheduled receptions. Some patronage groups requested clarification on who would represent them in planned events. These tasks occurred simultaneously, forcing the machinery tied to Camilla to operate from a new foundation. Some close to her viewed Catherine being granted authority over royal image as a sign that Camilla's influence would diminish in the future. Internal meetings discussing her role in key 2026 events recorded unprecedented adjustments. Ceremonial managers had to recalculate seating and appearance charts for senior members at major events. These adjustments meant that positions previously belonging to Camilla were no longer preserved as before. However, Buckingham did not issue any official announcement. The lack of explanation fueled speculation in the media. Some ceremonial experts suggested this was a transitional step in preparation for Charles reducing public duties. Others saw it as a signal of a new power structure, placing Catherine at the central role. While opinions differed, the common factor was that these changes raised many questions about Camilla's role in the near future. This context also prompted a re-evaluation of Camilla's position in the royal family system. For over 2 decades, she appeared in most senior ceremonial events, meetings with international organization representatives, events at Windsor Castle, or receptions at Buckingham all included the reigning queen consort. When schedules changed and her name no longer appeared on key lists, her previously stable position began to be assessed in a new light. Media analysis groups also questioned the timing of this transfer. The top-secret document was issued just as Catherine returned to public activity after treatment. This led many to ask whether it was coincidence or part of a restructuring plan. Advisors provided no explanation, leaving all predictions to rely on the clear changes in the public schedule. From these facts, the question arises, can a queen who once held a critical position in the royal family's operational structure maintain her influence when her scope of appearances is significantly reduced for an extended period? This is not a question of sentiment, but of the royal family's operational mechanism when decisions are made at the highest level. Throughout the developments, the person benefiting most clearly from this shift is Catherine, who is entering a phase of significant influence within the royal family's representative structure. Charles's decision to place Catherine at the center of the royal influence structure is seen as the result of years of observation. This choice was not based on personal emotion, but formed from evaluations of her competence, public credibility, and stability in representing the royal image. After internal turbulence throughout the early 2020s, Charles understood that the next phase of the royal family could not rely on the old model. He needed a figure capable of maintaining continuity, convincing enough to reinforce public trust, and resilient enough to avoid risks during transitional periods. Catherine clearly and consistently embodies these qualities. For many years, she has appeared before the public with a stable demeanor, rarely generating controversy through her words or actions. Catherine's ability to handle complex media situations has been recognized through numerous national-scale events. Every appearance represents a model standard that the royal family's advisory team considers appropriate for the new context, where transparency and image stability have become two top priorities. Another factor placing Catherine in a special position is her ability to connect with the public. Without relying on slogans or long-term campaigns, Catherine builds her image through consistency in action. Visits, patronage projects, and engagements with social organizations are all conducted according to a clear pattern, creating a stable recognition in the minds of the British public. Advisors consider this essential in the context of Charles gradually reducing his activities due to health concerns. Catherine's composure was most evident during the period she had to withdraw from public life due to illness. Her absence became a major topic in national media. The royal family provided no detailed information, leading to speculation at multiple levels. Yet when Catherine returned, she did so with unchanged poise, fully performing her assigned duties. This return marked a critical moment, as the public continued to see Catherine as the figure carrying the long-term responsibilities of William's family. This period also naturally invited comparisons between Catherine and Diana. In the eyes of the British public, Catherine's image evokes qualities once associated with Diana, such as approachability, resilience, and the ability to become the center of attention without generating any media conflicts. Though their circumstances differ, Catherine is perceived as carrying forward Diana's soft legacy. This provides her with a broad public platform that no other contemporary royal figure can easily claim. Royal media experts also note another important point. Whenever rumors or leaks arise, Catherine is always able to reassure the public by appearing at the right time, performing her duties correctly, and avoiding unnecessary questions. This consistency makes her the safest choice in the eyes of Charles and the senior advisory team. Amid internal changes within the royal family, Charles saw clearly that a representative figure must ensure two things: not cause division and not add media burdens. Catherine fulfills both requirements. She has not generated any public conflict with key royal figures. She coordinates with William in a unified manner, helping the Crown Prince's family decisions remain coherent. This is a crucial foundation ensuring stability during the period in which Charles reduces his practical power. An unmissable detail is Catherine's position in the royal family's future structure. William is the direct heir, and Charles understands that once he can no longer perform key duties, the transition period must be smooth and free of crisis. Catherine is the element ensuring that transition. She is the mother of three heirs, maintains the family image according to a modern model, and represents the next generation of the royal family. This places Catherine in a pivotal position that no one can replace. In relation to Diana, Charles cannot ignore the comparison the public naturally draws between the two women. Diana was a symbol of the old era, yet maintained influence for decades. The public had high expectations for a close and humane royal model. Catherine fulfills that expectation without altering the traditional structure. This is why Charles sees in Catherine a rare combination of a new image and an old foundation, allowing the royal family to maintain symbolism without losing its established conservative base. Analyzing Charles's psychology, many experts believe the decision to choose Catherine results from years of careful consideration. Charles has faced numerous debates regarding his personal life and public image for over half a century. He understands how long the repercussions of a misstep in choosing a representative can last. Therefore, Charles opted for a solution that minimizes risk. Catherine represents the lowest risk option, most suitable for the characteristics of a royal family under pressure to adapt. Beyond personal competence, there is another strategic factor that makes Charles's decision understandable. The royal family's future heavily depends on the image of William and Catherine's family. Their three children form the foundation for stability over the coming decades. Protecting Catherine means protecting the line of succession and ensuring the royal family's image is not affected by internal disputes. This long-term calculation is Charles's top priority. By positioning Catherine as the shaper of the royal image, Charles simultaneously reinforces William's position. This aligns with the modern monarchy model, where the heir plays a more proactive role before ascending the throne. With Catherine by his side, William can maintain the necessary balance, especially as the royal family faces numerous challenges regarding credibility and public trust. Considering all these factors, the choice of Catherine is no longer a surprising action, but a carefully calculated move. It demonstrates how Charles is looking toward the future rather than the past. It also opens the next stage, where the effects of the top-secret document begin to ripple throughout the royal family's political system. To fully understand this decision, we must examine the political consequences Charles faces after signing the document. The king's new decision has created a power landscape different from previous years. Political observers note that this is not merely a reaction to internal pressure, but a move capable of altering the royal family's operational structure. By setting a clear boundary between positions with real authority and those with ceremonial significance, the balance among factions around him immediately shifted. In the context of a royal family needing to maintain a stable image before the global public, any adjustment regarding the authority or role of key figures could have long-lasting consequences. From a royal political perspective, this is a decision that reestablishes order. The king not only sends a message about who stands closest to the center of power, but also defines how family branches will be allocated influence in the future. The roles of Prince William, Princess Catherine, Queen Camilla, and long-serving advisors are all reorganized into a clearer hierarchy. This leads commentators to suggest that the silent disputes lingering since the final years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign are now entering a more visible phase. Reactions in the UK indicate that the public is watching developments with considerable interest. Data from domestic press polls show that people are paying attention to how the king allocates responsibilities and determines the positions of each family member during this transition period. For them, the issue is not just family-related, but also concerns the stability of the monarchy, a structure intertwined with British political life for centuries. Some analysts question the impact of this decision on the succession process for Prince William, particularly as the king's health has frequently been the subject of international news coverage. In the United States, The press has received the story by focusing on its impact on the image of each individual. They monitor how the British media responds while providing independent assessments based on backstage sources. Many outlets analyze that changes in positions or authority within the royal family often reflect strategic conflicts among advisory groups. Therefore, they view this as a move signaling restructuring rather than merely an administrative decision. Editorials in the S also pay particular attention to the increased influence of Princess Catherine during the period she attracted global public attention, placing the king's decision within a broader perspective. Supporters of Camilla argue that this decision diminishes her influence in areas where they believe she has invested considerable effort. They see the reevaluation of her role as a signal that the king's vision is being guided by considerations other than his wife's accumulated contributions. This viewpoint often stems from the assessment that Camilla has maintained stable links between the royal family and numerous social organizations. So any adjustment reducing her position raises questions about the new direction of the reign. Conversely, supporters of Catherine consider this a reasonable move aligned with the current trajectory of the royal family. They believe that enhancing Catherine's role or placing her near the center of power is consistent with her future position. Catherine's commitment to community projects and her ability to maintain a stable image are seen as foundations for supporters to judge that this decision is on the right path. For them, this is Charles's most consistent action in many years to ensure that the transition of power to the next generation occurs under controlled conditions. On a broader analysis, commentators note that the polarization between the two camps clearly reflects the existence of influence blocks within the royal family. This is not new, but it is more directly visible this time because the king's decision impacts the interests of each group. The royal family's functioning depends on a balance among key figures, so any shift on one side triggers reactions from the other. This makes the debate profound, extending not only internally but also to the public sphere. Analysis by royal political experts concludes that Charles's decision may be seen as the starting point of a new power competition. This competition does not unfold publicly, but primarily through the allocation of roles, media direction, and the internal arrangement of diplomatic relationships. If the king continues to make similar adjustments in the future, competition between factions may move from a latent state to a clearly established one. All of these developments lead to the ultimate question: where will this decision take the British monarchy? By placing Catherine at the center of power and influence within the royal family, the future of the new reign will be shaped by the roles she undertakes. Catherine will become the representative figure at national events, carrying out key duties related to public relations, social projects, and ceremonial royal activities. Her consistent presence at major events will help shape the new image of the reign, creating an operational structure where power and prestige are concentrated at the center. Her coordination with William will ensure that decisions are executed coherently, avoiding conflicts among family branches and advisors while maintaining continuity in royal operations. In the new system, Catherine will play a pivotal role in shaping the royal family's international perception. She will assume most foreign affairs activities, including official visits, hosting foreign leaders, and attending international forums. This role was previously assigned to central royal figures, but is now reinforced to ensure long-term stability and consistency in the royal family's messaging to the public. Concentrating power and image in a single figure also simplifies decision-making mechanisms, especially in situations requiring rapid response or high consensus. Alongside Catherine's consolidation, Camilla's future will be redefined. Analyses indicate that she may be pushed into a more ceremonial role, where practical authority is limited, yet she retains symbolic functions during traditional ceremonies or events. Responsibilities previously held by Camilla, particularly those involving executive power or direct influence over royal policy, will gradually be transferred to Catherine. This arrangement ensures that actual power is concentrated at the center, where Charles has determined stability and consistency are top priorities. The redistribution of authority also reshapes relationships among royal branches. Catherine will become the main factor maintaining coordination between William and other members, including Prince Harry, William's children, and long-serving advisors. This coordination reduces the risk of internal conflicts while ensuring strategic decisions are executed seamlessly. Meanwhile, Camilla's ceremonial role creates a formal balance, avoiding public disputes without affecting real power. To visualize more clearly, this decision can be seen as the first step in building the new reign, where values of stability, leadership, and public image are prioritized above all. Catherine becomes the center of this model, through which all important activities, from domestic to foreign affairs, are channeled. Long-serving advisors will coordinate with Catherine to ensure that all plans and projects are implemented in a unified manner, from schedule management and media image maintenance to decisions related to patronage and national events. These changes also set a precedent for power allocation in the royal family, where authority and influence are evaluated based on competence and the ability to maintain a unified image rather than rank or personal connections. Catherine will become a symbol of this transition, serving both as the center of power and the face of a modern monarchy, where strategic decisions are coordinated across key members. Looking toward the future, the question arises whether Charles's decision to choose Catherine over Camilla can be seen as the final chapter in a struggle that has lasted more than half a century. This decision simultaneously reflects how the British monarchy faces the challenges of balancing power, public influence, and continuity across successive generations. Assigning a central role to Catherine not only directs the new reign, but also provides a framework for other members, including Camilla, William, and long-serving advisors, to adjust their positions within the newly established power structure. All of the analyses lead to the conclusion that the new reign will revolve around Catherine's presence at the center, where all plans, activities, and strategic decisions converge. This also sets the stage for future developments within the royal family, as internal relationships and external influence are reshaped according to the roles and positions of key figures, particularly Catherine, within the power model established by Charles. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a signature is not merely a legal act. It is a decision that redirects the entire power order of the British monarchy. It closes a chapter of covert confrontation between power branches while opening a new era in which central figures are clearly defined. The depth of this decision lies not only in politics but also in family dynamics, where power and affection, responsibility and duty intertwine into a complex structure. A single signature can end a power relationship, yet at the same time open a new future for an entire reign, where values of stability, leadership, and public image take precedence. The image of Diana, with all the historical marks she left behind, is once again evoked as a guiding shadow, prompting reflection on who will shape the monarchy's direction. The question posed to anyone observing the current reign is this: if you were Charles, who would you choose to entrust the future of an entire dynasty to? Do you believe Catherine is worthy of the position that the nation now expects of her? History waits for no one, and power is never divided. And in that November, Charles made his decision on the sole person to continue alongside the British monarchy. This decision marks a strategic turning point, where power, image, and the future of the reign converge into a single center, laying the foundation for all subsequent developments in the years to come.